Shubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Ka State Bank of India Officers Association, hapo ka Shatei jong ka All India State Bank Officers Federation, kalapanong ya ka Jynjar kando lang jong baro ki dekot, kabalalong ha State Convention Shillong, ha ka arterek ubanay naitung arhajar arpoar. Kajing panong ya ka Jynjar lang kalong hadian ba ka sarkar pedeng, kalapan bana ban IT no e ki State Bank of India, ban penyat no de ki Riu Shimet, omshu da ka jing kami jong ka sarkar. Usomya Datta, Ubadi General Secretary ka All India Bank Officers Confederation, Ulaong Balada ki State Bank and Shimti no de ki Riu Shimet, ki khana Samla jong ki jela jong ka Shatei la Mihngi kari, kin Shem jing e abha, ban Ïohkam Haki Bank, Haki Snem bat ki por ki bansawan. Katiga Kynhun kala pharu ya ka khubor sa sarkar, baka election MP house nam arhajar arpusaw, kala jan bat Lada ka sarkar kali persya, bat ya chakmat, bat katiga rai, ke ban shakta kan long yang sarkar hi ha ka te election.
Welcome all of our friends from the media to this press conference. Tomorrow we are going to have our 31st annual general body meeting of the State Bank of India Officer Association, which is spread over the entire northeast, covering the 7 states. Normally we hold our triennial conference every 3 years in Guwahati. This time we thought that we will hold this conference in Shillong. And in this conference, our leaders from across the country, they will be attending this conference. This conference will be graced by our Honorable Chief Minister, Conrad Sangma. Along with that, our management functionaries from the State Bank, from head office Guwahati, they will also be attending. We will have a gathering of around 700 members, where we will be deliberating on various issues that today our bank or the industry as a whole is confronting, which in the open session, tomorrow there will be 2 sessions. First there will be open session where the leadership and the chief guest, they will be there, they will be deliberating in that meeting. And in the business session, it will be a meeting of only our members who are the officers in the bank, coming from the nooks and corners of the entire northeast, covering all the 7 states. They will be attending here. And now with us today we have the president of the federation, Comrade Deepak Sharma, and the General Secretary of All India State Bank Officers Federation and All India Bank Officers Confederation, which covers all the public sector banks and few old generation private banks. He is leading the organization IBOC. Around 3 lakh officers are there under the banner of IBOC.
To respond to our call to cover this press meet, which is being held on the 31st annual general meeting being conducted by State Bank of India Officers Association Northeast Circle. Now, Northeast Circle comprises of all the 7 states, and it has presence in all the. It's a major bank in all the 7 Northeast states. And every year, this meeting is conducted where members across all the 7 states, they congregate, they discuss, they deliberate, they hear the leadership's view, they keep their side of their point of view, and at the end of the day, we all take a pledge how to foster the growth and development of our esteemed institution, State Bank of India, how to strengthen our association, that is SBIOA Northeast Circle, how to strengthen the federation, that is All India State Bank Officers Federation, how to strengthen the confederation, that is All India Bank Officers Confederation, and how to espouse the cause of the working class. Having said that, this year's meeting assumes strategic importance. This meeting is being held on 3rd of July. All of you are aware that from 18th of July, the monsoon session of the Parliament is scheduled to commence. It is widely anticipated, as reported in the print and electronic media, that the government is contemplating to table the Banking Amendment Bill. If it is tabled and passed, it will pave the way for privatization of all the public sector banks. Now, we from All India Bank Officers Confederation, we have been vehemently opposing this move ever since 1991, when this first, this liberalization, privatization, globalization was unveiled by the then Prime Minister, Sri Manmohan Singh. Over a period of 30 years, we have been fighting many a battle, and at this juncture, this particular government, with its brute majority that it enjoys in the Lok Sabha, and it can always work out the numbers in the Rajya Sabha, they are likely to bulldoze all opposition arguments, all dissents, all notes of dissent, and put in place this bill which will pave the way for bank privatization. Now, from All India Bank Officers Confederation, we had conceptualized a mass movement which is called Bank Bachao, Desh Bachao. It is not only confined to only the public sector banks. We are concerned about the regional rural banks. Many regional rural banks operate in the northeastern states. The cooperative banks, small cooperative banks. All of you are aware what has happened to PMC Bank in Maharashtra, and the private sector banks too. Many of the old generation private sector banks, even some of the foreign banks, they are having their association, Officers Association, which is affiliated to All India Bank Officers Confederation. Now, all of us are concerned about our ordinary citizenry. Now, about 120 crore of the Indian population, they are banking with some bank or other. And public sector banks and regional rural banks play a very important role over the years. I'll just narrate a few statistics which will, help you to understand the progress that has happened in the past 54 years. This is the 54th year of bank nationalization. It happened on 19th of July 1969. That changed the course of the economic status of the country. India became self-reliant, and the progress is attributed to the growth of the public sector banks, to the spread of the regional rural banks. From a mere 8,261 bank branches in 1969, the number of bank branches in the country is around 1,40,000 right now. That nearly 70% of the deposits are held with the public sector banks and the regional rural banks, and 60% of the advances. Now, the share of the rural credit, institutional rural credit, in the early 1960s, before nationalization, was only rupees 17 for every 100 rupee. That means every 100 rupee of loans that were given, only 17 rupees went to the rural population, rural poor. Now, nationalization changed all that. In 1991, there was a rapid expansion for bank branches. From around 8,261 bank branches, it went to around 40,000 odd branches, 60,000 odd branches. And out of it, almost 40% were in the rural areas. And the share of rural credit in 1990s, it increased from 17 rupees to almost 65 rupees. That means we decimated the local money lenders so that people could avail of bank credit. The small farmers, the small and medium enterprises, the self-help groups, all of them could avail of this credit. All of them could get banking services at a very nominal cost, and it helped for women empowerment. It helped India to become self-reliant in agriculture. It had a rapid explosion in SME business. Now, what we are seeing after the rounds of mergers that had happened over the last 4 years, first, the associate banks of State Bank were merged. Then followed Bank of Baroda took over Vijaya Bank and Dena Bank. And then there was this mega merger of 10 public sector banks which collapsed into 4 banks. Now that has led to some erosion of this rural credit. At present, the data we have, the rural credit share has fallen, institutional credit has fallen from 64 rupees to 56. That is a significant number. That means once again, the rural money lenders in the new avatar of fintech companies, in the microfinance organizations, they are replacing the public sector banks and the regional rural banks as the medium to give loans at an exorbitant rate of interest. You must be having a number of regional rural bank branches, so many micro credit organizations operating in Northeast. If you conduct a survey, you will find that they are fleecing the common people. They are charging interest at the rate of 3% per month. Whereas the public sector banks, the regional rural banks, give loans to the self-help groups, say at 2.5%, 3% per annum. So this is the difference. This is the difference that we have made. And this is exactly precisely the area that the government is targeting. They are also targeting the big borrowers who have enjoyed several lakhs of crore from the system. And they want to privatize the banks so that if the banks goes bust, tomorrow the government will wash its hands off and say that to the ordinary people, say that, okay, we are providing you a 5 lakh insurance. Nobody knows when it will be paid, like the 15 lakh that was assured after this demonetization. Not a single rupee had come to any account holder of any Indian citizen. Like that, the government will simply wash their hands off and say that you are now at the mercy of the bank owners. the crony corporates that will be owning the banks, they will not be clearing their dues. They will be ensuring that the banks fail and the common people hard-earned deposits are looted. So we have been resisting all that. We have some very interesting figures for you. The government has said that it has been continuous into the banks. The government has infused, as per our record, is 3,10,000 crore in the last 5 years between, say, 2016 and 2021. Out of which 34,000, around 35,000 crore was sourced through budgetary allocation, and 2,70,000, almost 2.7 lakh crore was through issuance of recapitalized bonds. Now, what interestingly, in the same period, 6.84 lakh crore of NPAs were written off. That means all those borrowers, corporates who were enjoying this, they had been given this huge outstanding, they were virtually, their loans were written off, and the banks could recover only about 33% of the outstanding. That means banks had to take a haircut of 67%. For every 100 rupee that we lent, we got back 33, and these corporates, they went smiling all the way to their bank. It's a win-win situation for them. I take a loan from, say, X bank, I don't repay it. My loan is taken over. Y buys the loan at, say, 33 rupees, and I have an understanding why I get my business back at the cost of the public Indian citizens who are investing their hard-earned deposits. So this is the situation we are in. It's a very grave situation, and we request to the electronic and print media to propagate our message to every household, and we are ensuring we have a social media page, Bank Bachao Desh Bachao. I request all of you to follow it. Every day we are posting, new material. There's food for thought. We want every one of you to join this mass movement. The farmers have shown us the way, how a democratic movement can even made this government blink. And they were forced to repeal all the three contentious acts. But all their demands have not been met, but they are met with huge success, overwhelming success, what a democratic agitation can do. And we are equally determined, because we are connected to 120 crore of the population. State Bank of India enjoys, a customer base of 45 crore. That means we are connected to virtually almost every household of the country. So we are playing a very major role in taking this movement forward, so that it is a people's movement, so the government sits up and takes notice. And what they did during the winter session, they listed the bill, and we embarked on a Bharat Yatra, a Jatha that was never ever done in the history of banking trade union movement, when we took up a Jatha from Calcutta to Delhi, from Mumbai to Delhi, covering all the states, and touching our stakeholders like the farmers, the self-help groups, everywhere. Our Jatha was given a very warm reception by the local populace, local citizenry. It was covered in the local channels. NDTV had covered it, and it made the government sit up and take notice, and they decided to backtrack, and they did not finally go through the bill, tabling the bill and passing it. Of course, the UP elections were there, and we had given a clear-cut call. If this bill is passed, we are not a political organization, we are not connected to any central trade union, we are absolutely independent and non-political. But we said that we gave a challenge that if this bill was passed, we will be approaching each and every voter, like what that was done in West Bengal, when in the budget, Madam Finance Minister announced that 2 public sector banks will be privatized. Immediately after that, the West Bengal elections were held. Our state committee of West Bengal, they arranged several meetings across the state denouncing this move of the government, and it was reflected in the ballot boxes. So we gave an open challenge to the government that if you table this bill and get it passed, we will be hitting the streets with vengeance, and we'll be hitting the streets as well as flooding the social media with our resentment, our dissent, notes of dissent, and we'll ensure that it reaches the common man. So ultimately the government was forced to backtrack, and we are extremely hopeful. And we once again, through you, we want to send out a clear message to the government that 2024 elections are there. It's just 1.5 years, 2 years from now. And if the government goes ahead and tables a bill and passes, the effect will be felt in the ballot boxes.
हमारी स्कीम्स के अंदर उन्हें क्या दिक्कतें आ रही हैं, किस तरह से हम इसकी अर्थव्यवस्था को ठीक कर सकते हैं। नॉर्थ ईस्ट स्टेट्स में लगभग 800 के करीब हमारी ब्रांचेज है भारतीय स्टेट बैंक की, जो अपनी सेवाएं दे रही हैं, गरीब तबकों को हर जगह, हर क्षेत्र, हर वर्ग के लोगों को अपनी सेवाएं प्रदान कर रहे हैं। और आपके मेघालय राज्य में भी हमारी लगभग 200 शाखाएं हैं जो
मॉड्यूल में रहते हैं।
वो पूरे मॉड्यूल तो राज्य ही
दो राज्य।
अच्छा, 2 राज्य हैं। तो इस मॉड्यूल में भी हमारी लगभग 200 शाखाएं हैं जो अपनी सेवाएं प्रदान कर रही हैं ताकि आम जनता को बैंकिंग सुविधाएं उपलब्ध हो सकें और इस देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को हम आगे लेकर जा सकें। तो इसमें हमारे लगभग 700 के करीब साथी इस जनरल काउंसिल में इकट्ठा होंगे जो हमें अपना फीडबैक देंगे। हमारे साथियों को जो समस्या आ रही है वो भी आ रही होंगी। आप लोगों ने भी फील किया होगा कि आजकल कुछ नेटवर्किंग से रिलेटेड कुछ दिक्कतें आ रही हैं, डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म पर भी काफ़ी दिक्कतें आ रही हैं। तो वो फीडबैक हम लेकर अपनी टॉप मैनेजमेंट को बताते हैं ताकि हमारे जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, हमारी जो सेवाएं हैं।
People kept on depositing money, converting their old notes, soil notes. So we never know. You see, the black money is something, is a concept. We all know that it is there, but how it flows, to whom it flows, we are not privy to such information. It's like the electoral bonds. People keep buying electoral bonds. Nobody knows who purchases who and cashes. It's almost like that.
It means demonetization was a useless exercise. Nobody knows anything.
See, at that point of time, all of you are aware that it was said to be a very patriotic act. But even after 7 years of time, RBI has come out with a very startling figure. In the last few years, over 2 lakh fake currency notes were recovered. I mean, out of that major part by the banks, about 2 lakh, no, 5 lakh crore. 5 crore of 2 lakhs pieces. 2 lakh 8,000 pieces, if I am not mistaken. And out of 2 lakh 8,000 pieces, 2 lakh came through the banking channel. It was identified through the banking channel, 8,000 by RBI. So that means the fake currency racket is still flourishing. So it has not been obliterated as such. And the rich is getting richer. And so ultimately you have taken down, you have introduced the 2,000 rupee note. Now that suppose you needed one briefcase to, one briefcase could contain 1 crore or say 2 crore. Now after the introduction of 2,000 rupee note, a briefcase could now have 5 crore or 6 crore. So that is, that is a conundrum. We really don't know why this happened. But one thing is for sure, whatever policy the government is implementing, it is being implemented through the public sector banks and the regional rural banks. We are there to ensure social harmony. We have ensured social harmony, although the fruits are being enjoyed by somebody else. Such as, could you elaborate on that? See, social harmony means, the DBT, direct benefit transfers. Everything is flowing right down to the grassroots level. And we are implementing it. But when it comes to the recognition of public sector bankers, we were not given the recognition at the first stage as COVID warriors. Over 3,000 bank employees and officers lost their lives. They laid down their lives to keep the wheels of the economy moving. And we were not given vaccination at the first instance when the other COVID warriors were given. In the process, so many hundreds lost their lives. No, we were not given. After repeated tweets and messages, appeals to the Honorable Prime Minister, ultimately we were recognized. By that, 2,000 officers and employees lost their lives. Countless hundreds and thousands of their family members lost their lives because they brought COVID home. And we were not given this recognition, despite being in as a frontline COVID warrior. Because only at the healthcare, the administration worked, the civil, the municipal workers worked, the police worked, and the bankers worked. The rest, everybody were, they were, media, of course, the media, you covered but you also had a number of casualties. So I also salute the role of the media, and the rest, the entire country was locked in their homes. But we were not recognized. Same with demonetization. Tremendous work we have done. You see this Jan Dhan accounts, 97.9% accounts have been opened by public sector banks and RRBs. Out of 45 crore, over 40 crore accounts have been opened by the public sector and RRBs. You take about the Mudra scheme, any scheme, 96 and 97% of schemes are implemented by the public sector banks and the RRBs. But when it comes to the recognition, you see the so-called, quote-unquote blue-eyed boys, ex-white private sector banks, they are getting focused. The government wants us to, to compete with their statistics, their return on equity, their cost to income ratio, their expense ratio, and it's a different ball game. We want a level playing field. We are doing mass banking while they are concentrating on class banking. And you cannot just compare, you cannot compare an apple with an orange. Suppose tomorrow the banks are privatized. To get open an account in X bank, I will not name the bank, you need a minimum deposit of 25,000. How many people can have a saving of 25,000 in the country now? Where a significant number are below the poverty line. They cannot afford 2 square meals a day. And you expect them to open an account. Even after the merger of 10 public sector banks, reduced to 4, 37,000 branches were, their number was 37,000. Now even if they rationalize the branches, even if they close down 10% of the branches, that means 3,700 branches will be shut down. Suppose each branch has an average customer base of 1,000. That means 37 lakh customers, either they will have to find a new bank or they will have to find a new branch. So this is a staggering, And if you walk into any bank, I have discussed with so many private sector banks. X Bank in Delhi has a business of 400 crore. Their branch manager is supported by 5 assistant branch managers. Below that there are 5 marketing officials. There are 5 relationship managers, 2 tellers who take cash, receive cash. And compared to that, a 2,000 crore branch of say X public sector bank has about only 3 officers, 4 clerical staff, 1 messengeril staff to run such branches, and their customer base, is almost per capita customer is around 2,000 customers per head, or maybe more. The nation, we are keeping the wheels of the economy moving, so the poorest of the poor is not deprived of his fundamental right, just like roti kapda makan, bijli sadak pani. Banking is also a fundamental right. So we do not want the common people to be deprived of their basic fundamental right. For this, our movement, we want to focus on all these issues. We want to expose, the dual role of the government. On one hand, implementing every possible scheme through us, ensure that all these loans are, becomes NPA. All these big business houses, their loans are written off. They have installed these systems of recovery tribunals like NCLT, DRT, and you will find that it's a miserable failure. You see the number of cases pending, see the amount of haircuts done. It's only favoring the corporates. It is for the corporate, and absolutely, I won't say by the corporate because our judiciary is there. So it's basically designed to suit the needs of the corporates. Last time we got the support of central trade unions, we got the support of farmers. Even Rakesh Tikaichi came out openly in support of us. In many of their rallies we had taken part. In farmers movement, our leaders had taken part. We had supported their call, fraternal support to their Bharat Bandh call. And in fact, they had expressed their support for us because they know also, if the banks are privatized, tomorrow the farmers will be deprived of institutional credit at a very cheaper rate.
What about political parties?
Political parties we have been approaching without discriminating. We are not distinguishing between colors. So we are approaching the members of the ruling dispensation. We are approaching the opposition. Everybody is giving us a patient hearing. And in fact, many MPs, our slogan, Bank Bachao, Desh Bachao, was resonated by inside the Parliament House in the last budget session. When MPs who were suspended, they were having a dharna, they started chanting the slogan, Bank Bachao, Desh Bachao.
Another thing, observation, our friends also must have seen.
Yeah, yes.
When we go to a bank, we should have a professional approach, because we have seen SBI, somebody has gone for lunch.
Absolutely.
They are not coming. So lunch means somebody has to be there. So don't you think that there is a point in the government move to privatize because you are not
that is exactly the narrative that is being floated. That is exactly the narrative that is floated, that quote unquote the banks are not professional. So I'll cite 2 examples. Yes Bank, supposed to be a very niche bank. Yes Bank was hyped as a model bank. Now they went bust, literally they went bust. They were bailed out by State Bank of India. Now this is all behind all the glitter, lies a reality. Behind the facade that you see, that the stark reality is that these banks will go bust any day, and only a public sector bank can bail them out to save the deposits of their customers. So that is a myth, That is the narrative that to shoot a dog, you have to give it a bad name.
Beyond that, don't you think the culture of approach that has to change?
Culture is changing, sir.
We have adapted technology. If you see our staffing pattern, demographic change has taken place. Now the average age of our employees is below 40. It's between 35 and 40. So this is a fast change that is happening. And within a few years' time, already more than 65% of our employees are below 40. So as we are recruiting more on people, we find engineers. Even people are quitting jobs like in TCS, Infosys, Wipro. They are joining the bank. They join the bank because for two reasons. One, they want the security of a job. They want to serve also the nation. They want to really serve the nation, go to the rural areas to serve the rural household. I've seen so many people, they are joining the bank with a mission that I want to serve the country. I cannot do it by working at a TCS office or an Infosys office, working for multinationals, for say, who are making profit exploiting our workers. So they want to serve the nation. To serve the nation, it's all the nationalized bank. We have we have a patriotic sense. If we are contributing to the progress of the nation, that is something which cannot be monetized. It cannot be monetized.
The specific employee for public sector bank is more than the private bank. The profit per employee is more than the private bank. These are some of the benchmark which tells the truth. But the environment where we are working, so that part also, I think as a media also, when you go to a branch, you also scan a private sector bank, I mean how many employees and how many customers, working customers, because what kind of a customers we have. They are directly onboarded to internet banking. We have to take care of even illiterate customers. We have to take care of different customers who even don't understand my language. We have to take care of them. So while dealing with those customers, it is not so easy. But for a private bank, they have a particular segment of customers. So that's why the transaction and the functioning you find sometimes.
And you can get a loan sanctioned through the mobile apps. We are also upgrading. And what Rupam has said, I'll just like to touch upon a few issues. It's so many interior areas of Northeast, far-flung areas, difficult terrains. Now you go to these terrains, who are opening bank branches there? Will you find any private sector bank there to cater to those people? But all the public sector banks are there, particularly State Bank of India, because we want to serve those people. As I said, banking is a fundamental right. Our presence ensures that they are not deprived of their constitutional right. Apart from all that, if the banks are privatized, Northeast states have a significant percentage of youth, SC and ST, OBC population, where they will find a job. Social justice is at stake. If privatization happens tomorrow, Northeast youth will not be able to find a job in a bank. You have to highlight all that. There is no reservation. There is no reservation policy in private sector. Who will be offering jobs to the unemployed youth of the Northeast, far-flung areas, to the SCs and STs? It's a constitutional right. It is a fundamental right of social justice. That is why we say we are fighting a battle to regain our financial independence. We are facing an Adanization of the economy, an Ambanization of the economy, where everything is controlled by this duopoly. You go to a highway, you are paying toll to Adanis. You go to an airport, your Adani's meter starts ticking. You transport coal, Ambani's and Adani's meter starts ticking. You are using this data, phone connections, Ambani's meter starts ticking. So everything is being now cartelized, and banking is a last bastion standing, which is yet to resist. It is still resisting this Adanization and Ambanization of the country. So we want to uphold our basic constitutional rights, what our founding fathers who have fought the battle of independence in 1947 achieved. We are again fighting this battle to retain the economic independence of India. That is why this page you will find the tricolor visible. In every this movement we carry our tricolor, because we are the real patriots, because we are serving the interest of the common citizen.
Have you